Welcome to Assembly Revenue. Madam Chair, will you please take the roll?
Assemblywoman Anderson. Present. Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson. Assemblywoman Bilbray Axelrod. Assemblywoman Considine. Present. Assemblyman Hafen. Here. Assemblywoman Kasama. Here. Assemblyman Miller. Here. Assemblyman O'Neill. Here. Assemblyman Ortlicker. Here. Assemblyman Roberts. Here. Assemblyman Yeager. Here. Chair Cohen.
And I am here. Thank you. Please mark the Vice Chair absent excused and Assemblywoman Bilbray Axelrod absent excused. Excuse me. And sorry, allergies. And if they are able to make it to the hearing, please mark them present at that time. Welcome again to Assembly Revenue. We're going to have one bill today. I think I can dispense with the housekeeping, but I will note that we are going to have public comment after the presentation. And so with that, I will open the hearing on Senate Bill 297, which revises provisions relating to agriculture. Welcome, Senator Spearman, and please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and to the committee, members of Revenue. I am really glad to be here, and I am excited to present this bill. I don't know how many of you all remember, now Commissioner McCurdy had two bills. He ran consecutive in 17 and in 19, dealing with food deserts. And in 17, Senator Woodhouse had a bill that created the Food Security Council. And we were all excited whenever that passed. But the problem was we were not able to really take it to the next level. And so what this really does, I've got a speech here, but I want to just, I'll go to it if I need to. But what this does is it creates the opportunity for communities where food deserts exist to take their own autonomy back, and it provides them an opportunity not just to eliminate the food deserts, but it provides them an opportunity to create jobs as well. I was asked by one of the committee members if is it mandatory, but you look at the language. All the language in the bill is permissive, and someone asked a question previously about what does the tax abatement look like, and why do we have that in there? That's an incentive. But if you look closely, it is only there if you complete the 5 years. If they do not complete the 5 years and do the other things that they said they would do, then there's a clawback provision. And so whatever taxes have been abated, they have to pay that back and pay that back with interest. I don't know that we've ever done that as a body. I don't think we did it with Tesla. I don't think we did it with Faraday. You know, most of the time when we do abatements, it's just like, this is what you're going to do, and then that's it. But this bill, what it will really do is, there's a community garden in Las Vegas already, but every community, especially where the food deserts exist, have an opportunity to have a community garden, and the urban farm is a larger version of that. I think that this is crucial to us coming out, not just of the pandemic, but to us making sure that our citizens are healthy. I know that if you heard people who were susceptible to COVID-19, those comorbidities are a direct result of nutrition. You know, some may be genes, but most of it nutrition. High blood pressure, diabetes, asthma is a result of dirty air most of the time. And so what this actually does is it helps them it will provide food that they can afford, and it's grown in their own community. And even though there may not be a grocery store, now they have the nutritious food that they need to survive. Because in most cases, the reason that they don't eat healthy is they can't afford the good food. You know, I remember, you know, I think when hummus first came out, you know, they were just about giving it away, maybe 29 cents, you know, for a quarter or whatever. And now it's like, what, $10 or something like that? It costs as much as caviar. So So what this really does is it provides those people who are in low-wealth communities, provides them an opportunity to grow your own food. They are the masters of their destiny. They're the ones that decide, once the land is acquired, they're the ones that decide what will be planted. They're the ones that decide who's going to benefit from it, for an example, for seniors or for people who are on a really, really, really tight budget. It's also provisions in there that if people want to participate, that they have the opportunity to get trained. If you look at it, everything in there is really designed so that the community's agency stays right there. So they get a chance to grow their own food, and they also get a chance to create jobs for the community. And the biggest benefit is it will help us to reverse some of the negative health outcomes that we have right now because of food disparities. That's it.
Okay, Senator, would you mind going through the different sections?
Sure.
Just do a quick walkthrough.
I'll read my little thing. I think that's probably a little quicker. So, Section 1 of the bill adds the requirement that a city or county master plan include in its urban agricultural elements a plan to inventory other real property to determine suitability. And I will say again that this is permissive language. If you look at the amendment, you will see that everything in here is permissive. Examination of local and regional.
And I'm sorry, Senator, I just want to be clear. By amendment, that's within the second reprint.
That's the second reprint. Yeah. And so, Section 2, it deals with the Council on Food Security to research and develop recommendations on community gardens and urban farms. And the examinations include local and regional efforts to develop community gardens and urban farms, regulatory and policy barriers to the development of community gardens and urban farms, the potential effects of community gardens and urban farms on economic development in the state, recommendations to promote the use of community gardens and urban farms in the state to strengthen local infrastructure for community gardens and urban farms, to promote entrepreneurial efforts to develop community gardens and urban farms. Section 3 authorizes a board of county commissioners to approve property tax credit equal to 10% of the property taxes on a parcel if the owner intends to allow the property to be used as a community garden or urban farm. Sections 4 and 5 authorize a city or county to use vacant or blighted land or other real property owned by them or for urban farms as well as community gardens. Sections 6 and 7 include provisions authorizing the state land registrar, and that's the biggest deletion there, because we took the state out because it would have been there would have been a fiscal note. Everything in here right now is completely voluntary. Section 9 and 10 authorize the director of the Department of Transportation to lease unused property for use as community gardens and urban farms for $1 per year. And that's the gist of the bill, other than what I talked about in terms of the tax abatements. And did I tell you it was voluntary? Okay, I really want to be clear on that, because we didn't want to say you must do this. It's something that either city or county can decide that they want to do, and if they decide to do it, they are the ones that decide how they put that together and how it would be operational in their own in their own area. So.
Okay, thank you. I know we've got some questions from Assemblyman O'Neill.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not used to going first. It scares me. Senator, I truly appreciate the bill and your intent with it. I just want to get a couple things on the record that we had discussed earlier, and that, as you said, it's voluntary. I want to confirm, because when I was reading it initially, it sounded like it was required in a county in excess of 45,000, which Carson is Carson. So you said it was voluntary. And you also said, just to make sure, the county can dictate how it's administered. In other words, we could do it through the local high school Future Farmers of America's program, or a horticultural class that the high school may be having something along that line. Would that all be acceptable, do you feel, within the bill? That
Yes, sir. Chair Cohen, through you to Assemblyman O'Neill. And I was looking for the piece in here that explicitly says encourage to partner with local schools.
Yeah.
And so local schools, anyone who's trying to do this or wants to do this, they can partner with. Because the whole idea is to get the community involved in making sure that all of its citizens are food secure.
And I appreciate that. And thanks. So one last, if I may. So even our Salvation Army can be involved. We could, if we had some spare land with Salvation Army, we could do it.
Salvation Army can do it if there's, and I don't know how they would, but if there, a lot of times, organizations that help abuse victims, and their location is usually secret, but if they wanted to get involved with that, they could too.
Would, if I may, Chair, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this, and because it's just off the top of my head. Would, if we wanted to do this, we grew the I don't know, the corn. That's what I know best of, coming up on a farm back east, and then gave it to recipients that we have, our Salvation Army. We hand out the food. It wouldn't. We wouldn't have to get regulated by the agricultural department or do any of that.
Madam Chair, through you to Assemblyman O'Neill.
And feel free to go direct to members.
Okay, so this is not designed to make any other, this is not designed to be onerous. A community farm. And whatever the community decides to do with the proceeds or the product is up to them.
Very good. Thank you, Senator. Thank you for the time, Chair. I appreciate it.
Okay, committee, do I have other questions? Go ahead. Assemblyman Hager.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a couple of questions, if you'll allow me. And first, I just want to say, Senator, I appreciate the emphasis on nutrition. I think nutrition is often overlooked as a cause of a lot of societal ills and, frankly, a lot of money that's spent on health care. So anything we can do to get fresh fruits and vegetables on the plate, I think, is a worthy goal. A couple of questions that I had, and I'm not sure if you'll be able to answer these or maybe someone else coming up later will. But I just wanted to confirm the tax abatements that we're talking about, that is money that would go to the local government, not the state. Could I just get you to confirm that, please?
Exactly. Yes, sir. That's correct.
Thank you. And then it looks like on the bill, we're talking about abating 10% of the ad valorem taxes. In your discussions on the bill, do you have any idea what kind of money we're talking about? I'm just trying to get a sense of a vacant plot of land at 10% on an annual basis, like what kind of money we're talking about. I know it may fluctuate, but if you're able to speak to that, or perhaps someone else can speak to it as well in the testimony on the bill.
I can't speak to it directly, but I think the key word there is blighted. And if you read further, there's also the provision for clawback. If they don't, the person who says, yes, I'm going to work with this community, with this land, if they don't do what they said they were going to do, they have to repay all the taxes plus interest. So, but I don't have a number for you, but the key word there again is blighted.
And Senator, if I may, but I do believe it doesn't have to be a vacant parcel of land. So I just want to make sure we're clear about that. So, and I'm sorry, please go ahead.
The reason I asked that question, and hopefully maybe our local government representatives can weigh in on it at some point, I understand the clawback and I appreciate the clawback. My reason for asking the question was trying to get a sense of how much money we would be talking about. Like, let's say somebody does this for 4 years, but they don't do it for 5 years, and then the local government's trying to claw back that money. I have no idea in my mind if we're talking about like $200 or $2,000, probably not $20,000, hopefully. But so that was why I asked the question. I certainly appreciate the clawback provision. And then, Madam Chair, if you'd allow just one more question. I was really interested in Section 10 of the bill, which talks about the director of one of our departments, I think it's Department of Transportation, potentially being able to lease back real property for $1 a year. And I just wondered, just a curiosity question, if you know the answer, just wondering how much property the Department of Transportation holds that would be vacant. Are we talking about a lot of property that's out there waiting to be developed? It's just, I guess, a concept I never really thought about, that they're sitting on property for potential construction in the future. And again, if you don't know the answer to that, I'm sure I can find the answer somewhere.
Thank you. Assemblyman, I do not know. And I think that would probably fluctuate, whatever's, and someone's here from the county or the state that can answer. But I think one of the things to consider is what is available now. There may be more coming available at some other time. So I don't know that whatever number I would give you today wouldn't be a moving target.
Assemblyman Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And more of a comment than a question. I really like the bill. When I was with Metro, I worked with Commissioner Marilyn Kirkpatrick in Northeast Las Vegas, Food Island. When the Walmart closed up there, they had nothing, and we did a lot of community gardens up in that area as part of her Pathway from Poverty project. And it was a great idea to get the community involved, and it also cleaned up blighted lots and things like this. And we probably could have gotten more had we reached out to them and said, hey, there's a tax incentive for you for this vacant lot, or even some real property. So I think it's a brilliant idea, and I believe our local governments in Southern Nevada will take you up on it and do an ordinance. So thank you for bringing it forward.
Thank you, sir. And for those of you who are in the north, they've done it a couple of times in Reno. And I'm not sure if Kelly is on, but they can show you pictures of the lots that the only thing that was growing on there were broken bottles, cigarette butts, and caps and that sort of thing. And they took that and converted it into a community garden, and you can really tell the difference.
Thank you. Ms. Kelly, are you on the Zoom? Okay, but Jamie Rodriguez is here. Would you like Jamie Rodriguez to come up, Senator? Can you answer that? But I will, however, just note, in conferring with staff, we're not reading it that it has to be blighted. So just to be very clear, that the property doesn't have to be blighted.
Good afternoon, Chair and Committee. Jamie Rodriguez, for the record, Government Affairs Manager for Washoe County. Through you, Madam Chair, to Assemblyman Yeager, the impact we expect to be fairly minimal. A developed property would obviously have a higher value and therefore a higher tax rate. Most of these are vacant properties, so their tax bill is fairly small. And so it wouldn't be much. What I'm more than happy to do for you, sir, is we do have a few community gardens in Washoe County. So I will absolutely get with my Treasury my treasurer and get some examples of what that impact to Washoe County would be based on gardens that we currently have in Washoe County. And I'll make sure to share that with you in the committee, but we expect it to be very minimal.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. And we do have a follow-up from Assemblywoman Bilbray Axelrod.
Thank you, Chair. Just to your point about the money coming back, is it, and maybe you need to get back to me on this, would it be money held in like an escrow account annually? And so then my concern is that if the garden wasn't successful and had to close down after 4 years, there might not be any of the money to do the clawback. So I was just wondering if I didn't see that aspect in the bill, but maybe I missed it.
Jamie Rodriguez, for the record, through you, Madam Chair, Assemblywoman Bilbray Axelrod. I can get back with my treasurer. I don't believe our intent was to kind of collect it up front and put it in an escrow account. We understand and very much appreciate Senator Spearman putting the clawback in there, but very much so understand that there's a potential that these could go bankrupt and that there potentially would not be money to try to get back. That is obviously a risk that we would be taking, but with that clawback provision, it does at least give us the opportunity to try to get those funds back if the farm did for any reason fail or if the property gets sold, right? There's a multitude of things that could happen where the 5 years does not complete. So we are very appreciative of the option, but I do believe in my understanding, and I'm happy to confirm with our treasurer, that there is still a potential of that lost revenue if the farm does close before the 5 years.
And I wasn't suggesting that we do it all at the front, even if it's an annual assessment or so. I don't know. I'm just, but just because I'm thinking if it's not successful, it's going to be difficult to recoup the money. So.
Thank you. Assemblywoman, Senator Spearman, representing City District 1. So one of the things that is still in the county's purview, when they establish the ordinance, they can put that in there.
Thank you. And I did forget to say how much I do appreciate this. I think this is absolutely wonderful. And as my colleague, Assemblyman Yeager, pointed out, I mean, this is such an impact to especially communities of color, and teaching kids how to eat right is paramount. So I appreciate the bill very much. Thank you.
And I'll just add, I certainly appreciate it as well. I think in the 2017, before the 2017 session, the freshmen took a tour of Myrtle Tate, which is an elementary school, which if it's not in your district center, it's very close, I think. And they have a community garden, and it became the basis of so many nutrition classes and cooking classes, and you just saw what a boon it was for the community. And like I said, went from being a garden, but also turned into like a community center. So it certainly is something that we know benefits our communities. We have a question from Assemblywoman Kasama.
Just a statement. I just wanted to say thank you so much. I think it is I love it when we've got legislation like this that we all support. It helps all of our constituents. It just makes me proud. These are the things I love doing, and just wanted to thank you so much for bringing this bill.
No, not a problem. Not a problem. And Madam Chair, if I can just say this, we have a community garden in Las Vegas. It's Urban Roots, and Ms. Brooks recently completed a study in conjunction with one of the major medical insurance companies with 100 women who were had type 2 diabetes. And out of the 100, 35 of them, just based upon the nutritional program that she developed for them, using the same thing that would be in the gardens, 35 of them were able to come completely off of their medicine. There was no trace at all of diabetes. And several others, the amount of, or I guess the severity of the diabetes was reduced. So you're exactly right. It really is about nutrition. Really is about nutrition.
So I have a question about the property and the abatement and percentages. So if we're talking about for instance, let's say 2 acres, but only a quarter of the acre is used for the community garden. Is the abatement on the quarter, or the whole? Like where? I just want to make sure we've got a complete record on that.
Chairwoman Cohen, Jamie Rodriguez for the record, the abatement would be on the portion of the property that is being used. So if you had a strip mall and you're using one of the buildings, the abatement would be on the building that you're using for the community garden or the urban farm. It would not be on your entire strip mall.
Thank you. And Madam Chair, I think that's a good question. And if you're talking about a building, the other thing that this can be is that community garden doesn't necessarily have to be in the dirt. You can talk about vertical farming, you can talk about hydroponics, and so there are a number of ways that people who want to participate and have property and or buildings or whatever want to participate, there are a number of ways that they can do so. So it's not just about the dirt. It can be in buildings. And the one that I like to use, the example I like to use is, and I don't know if it's someone has gotten it yet, but there's a Walmart that closed at the corner of Craig and Nellis. And if that were, and I've not talked to anybody, but it's just hypothetical, if that were turned into an urban farm, imagine what that community, and if you know the community, you know that it's adjacent to Nellis, but also almost half of the airmen on Nellis get SNAP. Go figure, right? But they get SNAP. So if that were developed like that, not only would it help the members of the low wealth communities that are in that area, but it would also help service members. So dirt, but you can also do this with buildings as well.
Okay, thank you. So I wanted to ask in section, I think it's 3 sub 5, with recording the approval of the abatement, does that encumber the property once it's been recorded, so that the next, I mean, how does that work as far as if the property's sold, that type of thing? Or maybe encumber is not the right word, maybe it's I don't know, maybe Assemblywoman Considine can help me with that, but so that if you purchase the property, when the abatement, do you get the benefit of the abatement? Like, when does that start?
I think you're on page 8. Is that correct? Can you tell me the line number? $38. So I think what you're talking about is does that reduce the value of the land?
Well, not necessarily, but how, do you get, does the purchaser get the benefit? Does it, when does the, as far as the timeline goes, when does that transfer? Yeah.
Thank you. So, Madam Chair, the idea is for the 5 years, and I think I've gone over, if they don't complete that, they can always sign up for more. If at the end of the 5 years they say, don't want to do this anymore, then it reverts back to private ownership, and however they want to use that land, they can use that land.
Okay, but then if they don't make it to the 5 years and you purchase the land, as far as the clawback, is that attached to the property so that the new owner is responsible for it, or is it the old owner?
Chair, Jamie Rodriguez for the record. So the intent behind us adding, and local government in full disclosure asked for that section, and it was to make sure that if somebody was buying the property, that they were aware of that commitment, and that agreement existed for the farm and the garden to be able to complete the 5 years. So that's our intent of adding that section, is so that if the property is purchased somewhere between that year 1 and year 5, the new buyer of the property is aware of the agreement and that tax abatement based on that agreement of the farm existing and being able to continue to exist. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, so it is an encumbrance on the property. Go ahead, Assemblywoman Considine.
Typically, when we see things like that on sales of property, you'll negotiate that as part of the sale. So if there's been a tax abatement and it doesn't fulfill, then typically I would say we'd have the current owner already pay back the clawback if we're going to change the use of it, or the buyer would knowingly know that they're stepping into it and they'd be bound by that, and then they would be responsible for the clawback if they didn't keep it up. So you would negotiate that during the time that you're working a sale of the property owners.
Okay, thank you for that. And do you want to just confirm that?
Jamie Rodriguez for the record. Yes, that is our understanding as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me see if I had anything else before we move on. Okay. All right, let's go on to Assemblywoman Considine was next.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for bringing this bill. I think I will just echo what everybody said about how important fresh fruit is. Also, being part of a community garden or being involved when you're a child, you carry that with you as well. So I have a few things rolling around in my head, but one of them is I can't figure out how this works. So somebody buys property, do they buy the property with the intent of creating the community garden, or do they buy it and then allow the community to invest to bring it up to the point where it can be a community garden? I'm just, in here it says that you have to hire employees, so I guess what I'm trying to figure out, if you're hiring employees, you have to have the money to start with, and I'm not sure how all that comes about.
Thank you. Assemblywoman, so part of what's going on right now with the community gardens across the country is there are grants available at the federal government level as seed money. Someone could also decide that they want to do this and put the seed money in on their own. I want to direct your attention to page 9. I think it's line 13. Yeah, and there's several of these sentences in the bill, but this is as an example. The Board of County Commissioners shall adopt an ordinance setting forth procedures to ensure the owner comply with the terms of the agreement described in the paragraph. And so everything falls right back on what does the county, how does the county want to do this? And so there could be several scenarios. I do know that the city of Las Vegas has started work on an urban farm, and they are doing it in the historic West Side. They're in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They have several of these community gardens. And if you know anything about, Pittsburgh, and I heard Assemblywoman O'Neill, I don't know how far east you are, but imagine that Steel City, USA has several community gardens and urban farms. In Louisiana, the same thing. But every place, they decide how they want to do it. And the procedures are set forth in advance. So it's not let's make this up as you go along. And I will have to say this too. I wasn't smart enough to figure all that out, but I want to thank the counties, especially Dagny, for helping me to figure this out. And so every time you see that language, that's something that they helped to work on, and the language came from them. I'm going to get that smart one day.
Thank you. And if I can just follow up, actually, this is more of a statement. As I'm sitting here thinking, there are areas, my district is on southeast Las Vegas, and there's a lot of old easements where right now we're having issues where people are like dirt biking through they're in neighborhoods, and I think this might be a fantastic way to fix one issue and create an entire new future. So thank you.
Thank you. And Assemblywoman Considine, I don't know who your commissioner is, but I do know that Commissioner McCurdy is all over this. So.
Assemblyman O'Neill.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Rodriguez, I just want to clarify, you made a statement about the strip mall, that only the building being used could be the tax abatement. But I was sitting here thinking, I know of several properties, a friend of mine's a developer, and he isn't planning on using that land for several years. If we took a 5-acre plot of undeveloped land, we had, say, an acre or an acre and a half actually producing corn, but the rest of it, we put a parking lot there for people to come in. We built up a storage shed. That whole 5 acres is available for the abatement. It isn't just the part under agriculture or growing.
Thank you, Assemblyman. Through you, Madam Chair, Assemblyman O'Neill, Jamie Rodriguez for the record. Thank you so much for the question, because actually I got a note from our assessors. There was some discussion between our treasurers and our assessors that I missed. So actually the abatement is on the total property. There was some concern from the assessors about how they'd be able to subdivide all of those properties. So actually the abatement, so for your example, it'd be perfect. Actually, it would be the entire parcel property that's owned that would be receiving the abatement.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair, for the second bite of the ear of corn.
Okay, do I have any other, just keep coming. Do I have any other questions? Okay, seeing none, unless there's anyone else who's part of the presentation, Senator, we can move on to support. And thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. Anyone in support, please come forward.
Madam Chair, to you and committee, Jamie Rodriguez, Government Affairs Manager for Washoe County again. We are in support of the legislation, very much so. I want to thank Senator Spearman for working with us, local governments, and our treasurers to make sure that we were able to write the bill in a way that we were able to implement and really make happen the goal of the bill. We are very much in support of community gardens, urban farms. In fact, currently Washoe County is working on trying to create an urban farm on our place, which is our new women, children, and families homeless shelter, so that we can help people who are transitioning out of homelessness not only learn how to grow their own foods, but cook healthier options and really help them get off on a better foot when they're able to transition out of homelessness. So this is something we are very, very much so in support of. Very much appreciate the senator bringing it forward, and again, thanking her for working with us and our treasurers. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person in support, please.
Thank you, Chair. For the record, my name is Benjamin Challoner, Policy Director for Faith in Action Nevada, a nonpartisan, multi-faith organization that organizes and advocates for racial, social, and economic justice and an inclusive democracy. We are in support of Senate Bill 297 and thank Senator Spearman for bringing this bill. Food deserts are prevalent in BIPOC communities, lacking fresh and healthy food. This often leads to poor health in these communities. By being able to have an urban garden in these communities, being able to provide this fresh food is amazing. It's an opportunity for these communities to actually get out of obesity, which is often rampant in these communities. Forget the bill number, but Senator Dennis brought a bill that targeted that a couple sessions ago. But this bill makes sure that we're able to get fresh food in these communities that lack. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and it's good to see you both in person in committee, so please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, committee members, Madam Chair. For the record, I'm Quentin Savoy, QUENTINSAVWOIR. I'm the Deputy Director at Make It Work Nevada, Make It Work Nevada Education Fund. By now, I'm sure many of you have heard from me. We work on economic justice, racial justice, reproductive justice, but we're also venturing into environmental justice, and SB 297 is an environmental justice issue. Typically, when you hear the word environmental justice, you think air quality, you think water, and those things are important. But the fact that some of our parks in Las Vegas aren't open, that's an environmental justice issue. The fact that some of our families have to go to the Green Valley Market to grocery shop, that's an environmental justice issue. So passing this bill will ensure that our communities are able to thrive, are able to grow fresh food, have whole, full, thriving lives. So we urge bipartisan support for this piece of legislation because it will go a long way to making sure our Nevadans have a solid future. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Please go ahead. And it's nice to see you in person.
Good to see you too, Madam Chair. Members of the committee, Michael Flores with the University of Nevada, Reno. We are in full support of SB 297. I want to thank Senator Spearman for working with us. Our director of our extension program, Dr. Ivory Lyles, wasn't able to be here today, but in his conversations with Senator Spearman, you know, they think there's a lot of opportunity to work together on this potential partnership and look forward to that. So thank you, and we're full support.
If I may. Thank you for being here, and I just would like to get on the record how important this is for Southern Nevada as well. So I know sort of the deal has been that you guys are going to keep cooperative extension, but just keep in mind that we have a lot of blighted areas and a lot of very underserved and communities who would really benefit from this. So just wanted to get that on the record, and you can.
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you to Assemblywoman Bilbray Axelrod. And, you know, the conversations we've had with Senator Spearman and Director Ivory Lyles has been focused on Southern Nevada and the good horticultural and agricultural work we're doing in Southern Nevada. I'm looking to expand that into all of your districts in Southern Nevada that we can hopefully have a stronger presence in. So thank you.
Well, and I do certainly appreciate that cooperative extension in Southern Nevada. When you go to that building, it's just surrounded by greenery and you know, that they literally are growing fruits and vegetables at the building there. But yeah, we hope you will do a lot of work in Southern Nevada with that. So thank you. And please go ahead.
Chair Cohen and members of the committee, my name is Ashley Foreman. I'm the volunteer co-chair of the Sierra Club's Legislative Committee, and representing more than 40,000 members and supporters in Nevada, I speak in strong support of SB 297. Community gardens can mitigate some of the problems that plague urban areas. They can be a beneficial addition to many communities by increasing the availability of nutritious foods to people who might not otherwise have access. They enhance biodiversity by supporting pollinating birds and insects. And for Reno, Las Vegas, and other communities in Nevada that must import much of their food, they can reduce food miles, transportation costs, and carbon and other toxic emissions. In doing so, they can help Nevada meet the goals of Nevada's climate strategy while creating a more sustainable system for producing local healthy food. For these reasons, we encourage you to pass SB 297. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And seeing no one else in support, okay, more support coming up. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Hi, thank you so much, members of the Assembly. My name is Chelsea Hand, CHELSEYHAND, and I'm the Outreach and Program Coordinator with Great Basin Resource Watch. I just wanted to say that we support this bill and comments that have been made previously. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else in support in the room? Seeing none and seeing none on the Zoom, we will go to the phones, please.
If you would like to provide testimony in support to Senate Bill 297, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Again, if you would like to provide testimony in support of Senate Bill 297, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. For the caller with the last 3 digits, 401, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin now.
Hello, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Tamika Henry. That's TAMEKAHENRY, and I am calling in support of Senate Bill 297 because I have been working at Vegas Roots Community Garden for the past 4 years. I have been a supporter of Vegas Roots Community Garden for the past 11 years. And I know the benefits that our community has had with us being there in the community. And we need so many more throughout our valley and throughout our state. We have various programs from Little Roots, where we're teaching our youngest Nevadans how to grow their own fruit and vegetables. And we also just support the whole family. We have programs like nutrition incentives for those who are on SNAP. It's called Double Up Food Bucks. We're the only agency, we're the only grantee in the state that has it. And so I just really want this bill to pass because I know the benefits of community gardens, and I just echo the sentiments of everyone else that has been on this call. Thank you so much, Senator Spearman, for presenting this bill. It's so important, and I urge you to please pass this for our great state. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Next person in support, please.
Well, the caller with the last 3 digits, 840, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Good afternoon. My name is Tamara Favors, Tamara Favors, Favors. I'm with Make It Work. I'm the ambassador coordinator, and we stand in support of SB 297. Passing this bill will give access to families to have fresh and healthy foods, and as well lessen the burden of buying expensive groceries. This means there will be less blighted areas in the community and help proliferate the community surroundings. Less Nevadans will go hungry. Currently, 12.8% of Southern Nevadans are going hungry. This does not account for Northern Nevadans. Furthermore, only continuing to give people primary access to fast food restaurants and liquor markets is an economic and food insecure issue. Having this bill passed and creating more urban gardens means creating the quality of life of Nevadan residents' lives will improve. We urge bipartisan support in SB 297.
Thank you. Next person in support, please.
If you have recently joined and would like to provide support in the Senate Bill 297, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. We will begin with caller with the last three digits, 019. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin now. It appears we have lost that caller. One moment, Chair. For the caller with the last three digits, 019, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin now.
Good evening, Chair. My name is, for the record, my name is Kara Freeman, K-A-R-A-F-R-E-E-M-A-N. My name is Dr. Kara Freeman, and I am the State Policy Representative and the incoming President-elect for the Nevada Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. We strongly support SB 297 and the establishment of community gardens. As noted before, nutrition is extremely important. The relationship between nutrition, food, and health is well documented. For example, we know that children who do not eat do not do well in school. Often children do not get enough food at home. At the other side of the scale, we see that close to 70% of the American population is overweight or obese. Health risks are extremely high, including risk of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, hypertension. Low-income and underserved communities are at the highest risk for developing obesity. The lack of supermarkets and or the prohibitive cost of purchasing fresh foods is a compounding problem. To add to the perspective, according to the 2020-2025 USDA Dietary Guidelines for Americans, 90% of the U.S. population do not meet the recommendations for vegetable intake, and 80% do not meet the recommendation for fruit intake. Healthy People 2030, issued by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, has specified nutrition targets that include reducing household food insecurity and hunger, increasing fruit and vegetable consumption. Community gardens have been shown to improve access to healthy foods by encouraging communities to grow their own fruits and vegetables, as has been noted before. Civic participation is a social determinant of health as outlined in Healthy People 2030, and community gardening is provided as a specific example of civic participation. As already pointed out, community gardens provide fresh fruits and vegetables that are available to eat. Studies have shown that children who have grown vegetables in school-based gardens do tend to try the food they grow. I urge your support of SB 297. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Next person in support, please.
If you have recently joined the meeting and would like to provide testimony in support of Senate Bill 297, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, the line is open and working. However, I do not have any more callers wishing to provide support testimony at this time.
Thank you. Do we have anyone in opposition in the room? Okay, seeing none and seeing none on Zoom, can we go to the phones, please, for opposition?
If you would like to provide testimony in opposition to Senate Bill 297, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Again, if you would like to provide testimony in opposition to Senate Bill 297, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, the line is open and working. However, I do not have any callers wishing to provide testimony in opposition at this time.
Thank you. Do we have anyone in neutral in the room? Please come forward.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, committee members, Dagny Stapleton on behalf of NACO, the Nevada Association of Counties, and actually also today on behalf of the Nevada, the Association of County Treasurers. And I was going to just defer to my colleague from Washoe County and to her comments, except I wanted to let you all know on behalf of the County Treasurers Association that they were on the line and trying to also provide comment and be available to answer questions for you. But she was texting me that the call was dropping. She was out in rural Nevada and could not get through. So we will get the committee and the sponsor any information that you might need from the treasurer's perspective, but wanted to express our thanks also to the sponsor, and the treasurers wanted to thank her for working with them and the assessors to hash out what was needed to make sure the mechanism on the tax abatement portion was able to work and could be carried out in each county by the treasurers. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Chauncey Chowdo on behalf of the Southern Nevada Water Authority. We are here in neutral on SB 297. Appreciate Senator Spearman meeting with us to discuss this bill. The Southern Nevada Water Authority is neutral on this bill as it is currently permissive, and the authority does not provide reduced water rates for community gardens. However, should the provisions of this bill ever be mandatory, it would require us to charge less for water that cannot be recycled. The SNWA has worked with a lot of groups on urban agriculture, and we actually have a community garden at the Springs Preserve, which provides a model of what you can do with community gardens. In addition, the SNWA provides rebates of $3 per square foot for customers to remove their grass and convert it to alternative landscaping, one of which includes a community garden. We also fund a grant program for schools, which provides up to $5,000 in grants for schools to put in community gardens. And from about 2004 to 2019, we've provided grants for about 17 schools or so in the amount of approximately $60,000. So appreciate the committee taking time to let me testify, and thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else neutral in the room? Seeing none on Zoom, we'll go to the phones for neutral, please.
If you would like to provide testimony in neutral for Senate Bill 297, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Again, if you would like to provide testimony in neutral for Senate Bill 297, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, the public line is open and working. However, I do not have any callers wishing to provide neutral testimony at this time.
Thank you. Senator, would you like to make any closing remarks?
Just want to say thank you to the committee and to everyone that helped us get the bill to where it is right now, and look forward to several partnerships in the future. I can't wait to see how healthy our communities will be once this is implemented across the state. And Assemblywoman, I think your commissioner is Commissioner Segerblum.
Thank you. In that area that I'm talking about, it is.
Okay, okay. He'll probably be on board too. Thank you all. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And with that, I will close out the hearing on Senate Bill 297, and we will move to public comment. So as a reminder, public comment is limited to 2 minutes per caller, and maybe limited in overall, or speaker, I should say, and is limited to, as well for overall time. So with that, we will start in Carson City. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Again, Benjamin Challoner, Policy Director for Faith in Action Nevada. I'm here to talk today about AGR 1 of the 32nd special session. We keep kicking the can down the road, session after session after session, on trying to find new revenue for our state, new revenue for our education, new revenue for our healthcare system, new revenue for our mental health. And we have a solution right at our fingertips, AGR 1 of the 32nd special session. Faith in Action would like to see that bill be heard, or sorry, that joint resolution heard, so we can make sure that we get more revenue for our state, for our much needed services that our communities rely on. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person in Carson City for public comment.
Chair Cohen and members of the committee, again, my name is Ashley Foreman, representing the Sierra Club Toyabe chapter. The Sierra Club supports mining tax reform because our current system is unfair and outdated. Since their beginnings in our state, mining companies, often foreign-owned, have benefited from our land, our infrastructure, and our natural resources. Unlike any other business in Nevada, they have profited off the wealth of our land has to offer without paying their fair share back into our state. Our schools and healthcare system have borne the brunt of budget cuts in 2020 and many times before, while these mining corporations have seen their profits significantly increase. In 2019, close to half of the gold and silver mines in Nevada paid no taxes. This is not fair to you, me, or any other Nevadan, and we can no longer afford to stand by and watch these corporations toxify our land, water, and air, mine our land's wealth, utilize our state's infrastructure, all while paying close to nothing in taxes. We have watched our schools rank last in our nation due to low funding and have accepted that reality for far too long. We have the resources and the ability to better our children's future by simply requiring these corporations to pay their fair share. For these reasons, we urge you to support bold mining tax reform. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person for public comment in Carson City.
Hi, members of the committee. My name is Chelsea Hand, CHELSEYHAND, and I'm here representing Great Basin Resource Watch, and to urge you to support AJR 1. GBRW represents hundreds of people across Nevada and has worked with communities in addressing the impacts from the mining industry. The development of a modern large-scale mine changes a region indefinitely. The operations are very destructive to the environment and often disruptive to hosting communities. Impacts include permanent loss of Native American cultural areas, scarification of the land, contamination of the water and air, massive depletion of groundwater aquifers, and boom and bust economic cycles. According to the 2019 EPA Toxic Release Inventory, metal mines in Nevada released and disposed on site just under 326.8 million pounds of toxic chemicals, representing 96.4% of the total state. Many mines in Nevada are expected to be sources of water pollution for hundreds of years. For example, the Phoenix mine treatment of roughly 330 million gallons of polluted water annually with no end in sight, and it's not an isolated case. The recently proposed Thacker Pass lithium mine is also expected to require active treatment for at least 300 years. The Western Shoshone lost the significant sacred site at Mount Denebo, which is now nearly surrounded by mining operations and no longer a spiritual place for vision and reflection. The large open-pit mines often leave behind artificial lakes that often contain elevated levels of contaminants. In some cases, the water will require indefinite treatment. These lakes are not reclaimed for any post-mining use, and the water is therefore wasted. Collectively, it's estimated that Nevadans will lose about 1.5 million acre-feet of water to these pit lakes. What price do we put on water? Many of these effects are intergenerational to permanent, and leads us to conclude that the existing mining tax law is insufficient to cover the long-term costs of the state, and we fully support Senate Joint Resolution 1, AJR 1. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Next person for public comment in Carson City.
Thank you so much. For the record, Quentin Savoy, Make It Work, Nevada. 50 years ago, black women shut down gambling in Las Vegas in the name of welfare rights, in the name of having resources to take care of their families. And today we're still fighting many of those same fights, such that we've undertaken an economic fairness campaign that we plan to launch this summer. And part of that economic fairness campaign is changing the narrative around how we talk about the economy and talking about what's fair. AJR 1 is fair. Everyone else pays taxes. Many of us pay more taxes than Amazon, mining, and so on. Well, maybe not mining, because I don't make the money that mining makes. But I do want to urge this committee to consider fairness and consider this moment that we're in to reform everything that used to be and how we can make it better. So please support AJR 1. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment in the room? Seeing none, we'll go to the phones, please.
If you would like to provide public comment, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. If you would like to provide public comment, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. We will begin with the caller with the last three digits, 279. Please slowly state and spell your name. For the record, you have 2 minutes and may begin now.
Hello, my name is Laura Martin, calling on behalf of the Progressive Leadership Alliance of Nevada, LAURA. Martin, and I would like to say ditto to what folks are saying in public comment, and really also thanking our public education providers for also continuing to talk about Assembly Joint Resolution 1 and how important it is. And I want to say that Assembly Joint Resolution 1 also gives Nevada voters the opportunity to decide how we tax the mines. I understand that there may be a deal happening for money to come a little quicker or what have you, but we also have to recognize that that could also put those decisions in the hands of gaming and mining, just like we did in 1864 when the mining industry decided how they would be taxed. And that's kind of why we're in the situation that we're in now. So we definitely want to see AJR 1 have a hearing, give the people a voice. But if for some reason we have to go with a deal that is happening, please listen to the voices of the people and understand that our budget can no longer be put on the backs of public education and healthcare and other essential services. Mining taxes are capped, but you know how many cuts that can be made to public education is not. And we really have to rethink about the way that we fund our state and how we collect revenue and from who. I really want to appreciate the committee and everyone at the legislature for the hard work that you're doing. And we're almost at the finish line, and we just really appreciate you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person for public comment, please.
For the caller with the last three digits, 922, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin now.
Hello, for the record, my name is Ainsley Archibald, AINSLEE speaking on my own behalf. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I'm speaking today to call for a hearing on AJR 1 of the 32nd special session, the mining tax bill. Nevada is unique in our inability to capture the value of our minerals with a net proceeds tax. Passing AJR 1 is a step in the right direction to fix this. Nevada voters deserve an opportunity in 2022 to choose how mining is taxed. And if we're going to be taking a deal, make sure it's one that prioritizes public educators and those most vulnerable, not mining corporations. Please hold a hearing on AJR 1. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person for public comment, please.
For the caller with the last three digits, 577, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin now.
Good evening. Chris Daly, D-A-L-Y, Nevada State Education Association, calling in support of AJR 1. You've heard me in this public comment period before, but we are less than 102 hours away from Sine Die. It's time to give AJR 1 and a full discussion of mining tax a hearing, and then with AJR 1 give Nevadans the opportunity to vote for some tax fairness with the mining industry. I know that Laura Martin, our colleague from Plan, talked about a possible deal, and certainly we've all heard some rumors in the building. There is no deal that is going to be as good as AJR 1 to deliver over $400 million to the state. And then I know there's been a lot of talk about public education funding as well. And last night, the Assembly voted out the K-12 funding bill. And while the budget committees did the work that they could do and moved over $500 million, in the end, per pupil funding from this current fiscal year to next fiscal year actually goes down by $115. So this can't be done just through the Herculean work of members of the budget committees and reliance on economic trends. This needs to be done with brave and bold action to raise new revenue streams. And the significant one in front of you that raises money specifically for public education, along with healthcare, is AJR 1. Now, you can't tie the hands of the future legislature in terms of saying that you want to fund education and next session we'll put additional money into education unless you amend the Constitution. That is the only way to guarantee funding for education. Guess what? AJR 1 does that by dedicating at least 25% of these funds to public education, other important services like healthcare. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Next person for public comment, please.
With a caller with the last three digits, 554, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin now.
Hello, for the record, my name is Dexter Lim, Dexterlim, speaking on behalf of the Sunrise Movement Las Vegas Hub. Today I am asking my representatives to address the long-standing inequities of state deductions and tax structure on the multinational mining corporations profiting off of our state. An answer to this has been in front of us all since it was passed out of Assembly last summer, and it is beyond due by this point in the session for Bill AJR 1 from the 32nd special session to have a rightful hearing. In opening a public forum on this bill, I request that Speaker Frierson and the rest of the Nevadan delegation extend the same trust and courtesy to the people who voted them into office to address inequities and secure revenue for the people of all Nevadans, not just the protected few. Let the people speak on mining justice, and let the people speak on AJR 1 ***. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next person for public comment, please.
With a caller with the last three digits, 705, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin now.
My name is Jackie Chockless, for the record, JACKIE-CHIAKULAS. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. When we talk about revenue, we talk about job creation. We talk about investing in our communities. We talk about the future. Educators are job creators, our future. Jobs to combat climate change and our renewable energy and clean energy jobs. In order to move to a clean energy future and a renewable energy future, we need to extract lithium. In Nevada, we have the only operating lithium mine in the United States. I was able to see it with my own eyes. We have one more lithium mine being proposed in Thacker Pass now, actually. Yet, international mining corporations that extract these minerals in Nevada pay next to nothing in taxes. They pay next to nothing into our schools, healthcare, or our public services. So when we talk about revenue and Nevada's future, we need to talk about mining and take action in holding them accountable. I worry that if the legislature does not hold a hearing on meaningful revenue reform now, like AJR 1, years will go by, minerals will leave our state, renewable energy will advance, yet it'll be Nevadans that are left behind again. The best way to ensure sustainable funding and revenue into our state is to listen to the people and to have mining pay what they owe in taxes. It's well past time to have a hearing for AJR 1. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person for public comment, please.
If you have recently joined this meeting and would like to provide public comment, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Again, if you would like to provide public comment, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. With a caller with the last three digits, 670, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin now.
Hi, my name is Jackie Spicer, JACKIESPICER. I'm speaking as a member of the Sunrise Movement Las Vegas Hub. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I am speaking today to call for a hearing on AJR 1 of the 32nd session. It's not that we can't afford to invest in education and healthcare. We know that there is plenty of money in this state. But up to this point, elected officials in Nevada have chosen the interests of multi-billion-dollar corporations over Nevadans. It's time to pass AJR 1 and put our people before the corporations, which currently receive massive giveaways through their deductions that no other business can take. Passing mine revenue is an opportunity to prove that you will side with the people of Nevada. Which side are you on? I urge you to hold a hearing on AJR 1. Thank you.
Next person on the phone, please, for public comment.
One moment, Chair. With a caller with the last three digits, 326, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin now.
Hi, members of committee. My name is Verania Enrebolledo
VERANIAREBOLLEDO for the record. With Make the Road Nevada, a local nonprofit here in Las Vegas, committed to fight for immigrant and worker rights. I'm calling, just dittoing everything that the previous public commenters have mentioned. Nevadans have long suffered from underfunded education and healthcare, and not to mention the lack of funding for mental health services as well. I first-handedly experienced the lack of funding in all aspects in Nevada, from lack of importance and funding for our education. As we stand last in education, the lack of resources and funding in our health providers and mental health providers as well. And I just want to ask, like, when will we put people before profit and corporations? So I please urge y'all to pass and have a hearing of AJR 1 * for a better Nevada now. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person for public comment on the phone, please.
One moment, Chair. For the caller with the last 3 digits, 346, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin now.
Thank you. My name is Brendan Becker. That's spelled Brendan, and last name Becker. I'm calling in as a concerned citizen in Clark County, and I'm speaking today to call for a hearing on the bill, AJR 1 of the 32nd special session, the mining tax bill. Often, people on government programs get accused of abusing the system, and those programs include things such as unemployment, Social Security, EBT, SNAP. But in my opinion, the real people that abuse the system are these millionaires and billionaires in charge of mining companies. Because while families and Nevadans in general were suffering during the last 2 economic crises, these mining companies got richer and richer. So while everyone was losing their money, these mining companies were sitting on either gold mines or whatever. And it's about time they pay their fair share in taxes. And also, it's inexcusable that there's still not enough money for education, because I remember when I was in school, it was the same way. There was no funding. School, we always had to use old technology, and we never could use the proper materials. And I'm 24 years old, and I hear it's still the same way. And I think it needs to change, because Nevada is beginning to be a state that's for the people and not for businesses. So please, I urge you all to have a hearing on AJR 1 of the 32nd special session. Thank you all.
Thank you. Next person for public comment on the phone, please.
Well, the caller with the last 3 digits, 036, please slowly state and spell your name. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Okay, hi, my name is Valeria Villaseñor, pronoun she, and I myself have suffered from underfunded education and healthcare, and I believe that the mining's make enough money in taxes to be able to fund our education. I mean, I know that Clark County is one of the counties with the lowest education, and this city makes too much money to not be prioritizing our youth. Our youth are our future for tomorrow, so I think it's very important that we start prioritizing what does matter to us, for mental health services as well, and for healthcare and education as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person for public comment on the phone, please.
The caller with the last 3 digits, 748, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin now.
Hello, members of the committee. My name is Hector Fong Jr., HECTOR FONG, JR. I am a lifelong Nevadan. I was born and raised here in Las Vegas. I've gone through pre-K through 12 in Clark County. I've gone to so many different schools in the state, UNR, CSN, UNLV. And I'm just here to advocate for a hearing for AJR 1. I feel like it's been way too long that I've heard, like earlier caller said, that our education has been underfunded. I've heard it through the recession while I was in elementary school and middle school. Budget cuts, overcrowded classrooms, cut electives, cut extracurriculars. And I just think it's time that mining pay its fair share, and these multinational millionaire, billionaire corporations pay what they owe to the state, and that our state leaders start supporting the next generation of Nevadans, as well as the healthcare services and other essential services in the state that, you know, everyday families in the, you know, in the entire state rely on.
Thank you. Next person on the phone for public comment, please.
We will take the caller with the last 3 digits, 026. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin now.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Cassandra Charles. That's Cassandra Charles, speaking on my own behalf. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Today I'm calling in to urge you to hold a hearing on AJR 1 of the 32nd session. Just like folks before me, I was born and raised here in Nevada, and I firmly believe that AJR 1 is Nevada's best option to hold the mega billionaire mining corporations accountable to supporting public services and education in our state. As someone who went through Clark County school system, I definitely had incredible teachers, but we can all agree that they need more resources and funds to give certain students what they need to thrive. Students in Nevada deserve to thrive, and we need to give them the resources to do it. Thank you, and again, please hold a hearing on AJR 1 to tax the mines.
Thank you. Next person for public comment on the phones, please.
If you would like to provide public comment, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Again, if you would like to provide public comment, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. One moment, Chair. Caller with the last 3 digits, 796. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin now.
Hi, this is Andrew Charles, ANDREWCHARLES. I am calling on behalf of myself today to ask that you hear AJR 1 and give it the proper hearing it deserves. I'm also just here to say that we won't be accepting any more short-term solutions that are sort of a one-time drop in the bucket. Like many people before me, I've grown up in Las Vegas my entire life, and the education system definitely needs a lot more funding, like many people have said before me. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Next person on the phone in public comment, please.
Chair, the public line is open and working. However, we do not have any more callers wishing to provide public comment at this time.
Thank you. So with that, committee, we will have a hearing tomorrow. I'm not sure what time, and we will have a work session. So just keep close to the building, and with that, do you have a comment? Was it a comment, Mr. No? Okay. With that, I hope everyone has a good evening, and we are adjourned.